Hello and welcome. This is Honeysuckle bringing you the player updates for the Minecraft Hardcore Challenge for July 2017. This is for episode 4. And I will start off by saying that I do not have my episode 4 recorded yet. I will do that probably right after this. So I won't be in this update. But we'll catch episode 4 and 5 with my episode 5 update. So jumping in, starting off we have Java Dad. He continued working on his lighthouse until the sun began to set, then he went back down to do some gardening, then collected more cobble by digging a staircase down. He found a cave system to explore where he was able to gather more coal and iron. Next we have Kane's. In his episode 2, he's getting caught up. He started his episode figuring out how to make mushroom stew, then started digging a staircase down to get diamonds. Ran into a cave system, found the diamonds, but didn't have an iron pick to mine them yet. He did have a brief run-in with several mobs, but came through unscathed. Then he made the iron pick to collect the diamonds and continued exploring the cave, finding more iron before heading back up to end the episode. Then in his episode 3, he starts out with making iron armor. He's now using Batty's mod, which is, of course, one of the allowed mods. He heads down to continue looking for diamonds, runs into several mobs, and down to one heart. Then he digs up to get out of the mines down there and emerges at the bottom of the ocean, but safely makes his way home. He manages to get a carrot, which he plants and bone meals for some quick food, then heals. He does heal back up from that heart. Then he heads back down to get some obsidian for another portal, but the day ends before he can build it, so it's looking like his episode 4 will be another trip. Next we have Grandma's Gone Gaming. In her episode 4, she begins by starting a staircase down the mountain, and she gathers coal once she gets down there, running around the island, gathering her resources, while talking about a camping trip, and then a scary incident with her surgery. As night fell, she worked on some landscaping, or terraforming a bit of the area to make it easier to traverse. Next we've got Granny's Got Game. In her episode 4, she starts a tree farm so she won't have to worry about wood, then climbs up to flatten the area for her caretaker's house. Then as night fell, she began fencing off the edges and started working on the bridge. Next we have DadCraft73. Let's see, he starts out by heading to the build site and starts building up the foundation of his lighthouse. He keeps working on the base of the build during the night, trying to make it look built into the rock. Then he checked out the slope up to the peak to make sure it had an easy path up and down before boating back over to his little house by the forest. Next we have John Fallon 2. His episode didn't record any narration, so it's a silent episode. He starts out on the beach near the roofed forest, but he soon hops in his boat and rows out to find the build site. He hacks into a few squid along the way to get ink sacks before continuing to the coordinates and standing at the very top of the peak, getting a great view of the whole island. Then he starts leveling out the area, collecting snowballs as he goes. Then he cuts a shaft down the side of the mountain and places ladders for a quick route up and down to the build site. As the sun started to set, he jumped into the water to hunt down more squid for ink, before finally heading back over to the forest to tackle a few of the nightly mobs before gathering some wood and making some black concrete and white concrete. And that ended his episode. Next we have DJ Paul. In his episode 4, he's still looking for roses, otherwise known as the red poppies, to use for red dye. He collects some wood and more flowers. Then as night falls, he makes a run back for his base where he fights several mobs, but a creeper finally blows him up. So his month is over, but he does plan to be back next month for the new challenge. Next we have Rabbit Roars. She starts out on the beach by the roofed forest collecting sand and flowers. Then she heads back to the build site where she needs to pause the recording for a phone call and didn't get to record the rest of the episode. But she does come back as dawn is breaking to fill us in on what happened. She does have the shape and size of the lighthouse laid out, ready to continue in her next episode. Next we have Wandering Nerd. He is back from his nether trip. He starts smelting some netherrack before heading up the peak to work on his lighthouse, clearing out some stone before going to collect coal and go back to the nether for more netherrack and glowstone. Next we have Captain Hook 5150. In his episode 4, he starts off down in his mine, planning to look for the diamonds that Greg found in his videos. He did smelt some iron and make a pick to be able to collect the diamonds, which he does find. Then he digs around to find the lava he can hear. He does get full iron armor, a diamond pick, a flint and steel, and now he is all set for another trip. He just needs to find some water to turn that lava into obsidian for the portal. He ends the episode as he begins mining up some of the obsidian. Next we have TSG Gaming. He begins the episode with a grunt, a groan, and a long fall. So starting with half a heart now, he goes fishing and cooks it to heal back up. Then his audio cuts out and he goes boating off in silence to check out the surrounding islands for coal, possibly seeds, because he is hitting some grass. Then he has a run-in with a spider, which he survives. Then he hops back in the boat to do some more fishing during the night. Then he heads back to his base area to build out a small dirt platform and continue to fish. He is looking to get a better food source, so hopefully he gets that sorted out so he doesn't have to worry so much about food in his future episodes. Next we have Block Samurai. She begins down in her mine hunting down the lava sounds. Then she begins using the lava to build her nether portal. Then it does take a while to talk herself into going through. And of course she spawns in a nether fortress. This is the first nether fortress spawn I've seen in this MHC. And she is immediately faced with a wither skeleton. But she does get herself safely blocked off and starts gathering nether brick from the fortress. Next we have BakerBow Games. She starts off in the forest very close to a forest fire. She debates using the skeleton spawner that Block Samurai found in her videos to use the bones for dye on her concrete. But she decides first she needs more food and wood and gathers some sand. Then she gets her bearings and heads back to her base that night, figures out what she will need from the nether, and heads down to collect some andesite, which she plans to use in her build instead of light gray concrete, because the gray dye just seems to be too difficult to get without resorting to killing squids, which since they are a passive mob, we aren't supposed to harm them. Then she starts hunting for lava that she can hear, but accidentally looks at an enderman while defending against a skeleton and provokes him into a heart-stopping rush to attack. She does manage to avoid him and hide under a 2-block high area and kills him. And I believe she did get an ender pearl. Then she heads back up to end the episode with a new day. So great job with that enderman, BakerBow. That was had my heart in my throat as well. I'm sure you were even worse. Next we have Real Infinite with Trick Entertainment. This was his first episode, which was done in part of a live stream. He begins by gathering wood from the roofed forest. He grabs some cobble to get stone tools, locates the build spot, and starts clearing out at the peak. As night fell, he headed underground, finds a cave to explore, but he gets killed by a skeleton near the end of the episode. Now he says he does plan on trying again, so we will wait and see if he can get his episodes out and caught up. Next, we have Dark Age Man. In his episode 4, he spends his time working on building a dock at the bottom of the mountain. And this isn't just a simple little slab dock, this is a large dock. So he works through the night to get it framed out, and he's talking about the lore behind his build. So it's sounding like it's going to be a really, really nice build that he's going to do there. Now there are several of us that are not caught up with episode 4. We are still waiting on Immacarn, Gadawan, myself, Icy Bubba, Mac G Mania. I think everybody else has theirs out, or they have already been killed and are out of it for this month. So I'm going to go ahead and record my episode 4 and 5 to get those up to date, and we will be back within the next 2 days with the next update. So until then, bye.